Hey guys, welcome back to the CNK Knowledge Hub. Today we'll be going through a non-verbal reasoning test for image analysis. Okay, then going to question one. Okay, it says figure out which of the figures 1, 2, 3, and 4 can be formed from the pieces given in figure X. And looking at figure X, and then looking at this particular piece, okay, we can see this piece here in figure 1, then we can see it's not in figure 2 or 3 or even 4, meaning that our answer will be A. Okay, and then moving on to question 2. And then looking at figure X, okay, we'll start with this piece here. And we can see that it's here in figure 1. You can see that it's here in figure 2, then it's here in figure 3, then here in figure 4. So it's there in all the figures. Then moving on to this particular piece. Then coming here, okay, we can see that we don't have that piece. Then coming here, okay, we also don't have that piece. Then coming here, okay, we can see that it's this piece. Then going to figure 4, we can see that we don't have that piece. So since all the other 3 figures don't have this piece except for figure 3, then our answer will be C. Okay, and then moving on to question 3. Okay, and then looking at these pieces. Okay, we can look at, okay, all the pieces look similar, and then since we can rearrange the different pieces, it doesn't matter how they're sitting. Okay, so looking at this piece, okay, if we check, okay, figure 1, okay, we can say that it's this piece with the cube here minus the drawings inside. Then going into figure 2, we can say it's either this part here. Okay, excuse me. Let me go back to the right slide. Okay, and then going into figure 3, you can see it's not here. Even in figure 4, it's not here. Okay, and then so that leaves us with figure 1 and figure 2. Then if we look at figure 2, we can see that we have all the pieces that are in here. So since they're all similar, we can just say, okay, we have one of the pieces here, then the second piece here, and then the third one here, and then the fourth one here. So our answer will be B. And then with figure 1, the reason why it can't be figure 1 is because of all the extra drawings inside the cube, inside the figure. So our answer will be option B. And then moving on to question 4. Okay, and then we'll look at, okay, figure X. Then looking at figure X, okay, we can look at, okay, these 2 pieces first. You can see that we can put these 2 pieces together to form some sort of rectangle. So, okay, if we were to do that, okay, we can see that our options will either be number 2, figure 2, or figure 4. Okay, and then looking at figure 2, okay, we can see we have this piece here, which is sitting this way. And then for this piece, you can see that it's this one here, sitting here. Okay, and then looking at okay, so our answer will be B. But then looking at figure 4, the reason why it can't be figure 4 is that, okay, for this piece, which is supposed to be this piece, you can see that the shapes are actually different. This piece here is slimmer compared to this piece. And then looking at this particular piece, we can see that it's different from this one. So with this piece, we can say it's this one, but then it doesn't have this piece at the bottom. Excuse me, this piece at the bottom. So our answer will be B. Okay, and then moving on to question 5. Okay, looking at all the figures, figure 1 to figure 4. Okay, with the first figure, we can see that that's not the answer because it has squares inside. And we don't have any squares in the pieces given in X. So, okay, we'll look at figures 2, 3, and 4. So looking at all these figures, we can see that we have the small circle. It's here in figure 2, here in figure 3, and here in figure 4. Okay, and then looking at this particular piece, okay, we can see that in figure 2, okay, we do have it, so it will be this one here. Okay, and then in figure 3, we also have it, which will be this particular piece. Okay, and then in figure 4, it will be this one here. Okay, and then moving on to this piece. Okay, in figure 2, okay, we can say that it's this piece. Okay, in figure 3, it will be this piece. In figure 4, it will be this piece. Okay, and then for the last piece, which is this one, in figure 3, we can say it's this one. But then we can see that, okay, in figure 2, we can see that we still have an extra piece here. So figure 2 cannot be our answer. And then in figure 3, okay, we can have it at this as this piece. Okay, and then in figure 4, we could say it's this piece, but then we can see that this triangle, this shape here is a right angled triangle, whereas this shape here is a triangle, but then it's not right angled. So our answer will be option C. Okay, and then moving on to question 6. Okay, we have all these different pieces under X. Okay, I think that we can, okay, looking at the pieces in here, you can see that we have 3 right angled triangles, which is this one here, this one, and this one. So we can look at the figures we have here to see which ones have 3 right angled triangles. Okay, and then looking at figure 1, you can see we have 1, 2 right angled triangles, so it's not 3. So figure 1 can be our answer. Okay, and then looking at figure 2, okay, it's the same thing. Then looking at figure 3, okay, we have 3 right angle triangles. Here's 1 here, then 2 here, then 3 here. Okay, so figure 3 can be our answer. Then looking at figure 4, we can see that we only have 2 right angle triangles, which is this one and this one. So that only leaves us with one option. We choose option C. Okay, and then moving on to question 7. Okay, so for question 7, okay, looking at the pieces in figure X, okay, we'll start with this shape here. Okay, in option 1, we can see that we have the shape, which is, okay, it's here. Then in option 2, okay, we have a similar shape, but then it's not really the same because here, okay, it's less angular. The same thing applies for figure 3 and figure 4. So that only leaves us with one option, which is option A. Okay, then moving on to question 8. Okay, we can see that we have these 3 pieces in figure X. Okay, and then we'll move on to, okay, we'll look at the square first to check if we have it under these, okay, under these figures. Okay, so for figure 1, we can see that we have a square here, the bottom, and then for option 2, sorry about that, for option 2, okay, we can have a square here, and at the same time, this whole thing can be a square. Then for option 3, we can have a square here. For option 4, we can have a square here. Okay, and then looking at the triangles. Okay, starting with this one. Okay, for this particular, okay, for figure 1, sorry. For figure 1, we can have, okay, the triangle here. For figure 2, we can have the triangle here. But then we can see that we won't have the second triangle. So we can't have figure 2 as our option. Okay, and then for number 3, we can have a triangle here. Okay, and then for number 4, okay, we can't have either of the triangles here. So number 4 is out. Okay, and then looking at the last triangle, looking at the last triangle, okay, um, okay, excuse me. Okay, so going back to the other triangle, so we made a mistake. Going back to the other triangle, okay, we can see with this particular triangle. Okay, for option 3, okay, we can have it here, but then it will overlap with this triangle because this triangle here will fit here. Like if we slant it, we will have it here covering the whole place. And so we'll need to have some sort of marker to show that the first triangle is also here. So we don't have that marker. Okay, so figure 3 can be our option, meaning that our answer is option A. And then with the positioning, we'll have the square at the bottom. And then we'll have the small triangle here. And then we have the big triangle sitting here. Okay, and then moving on to question 9. Okay, we can start with this. Okay, we can start with this piece here. Okay, so we can see that the shape inside is curved internally or curved to the center. Okay, so and then, okay, looking at option 1, we have, okay, this piece here, even though it's much smaller relative to the other pieces compared to this piece relative to the other pieces in the figure X. So option 1, figure 1 can be our option. Okay, and then looking at figure 2, okay, the same thing applies. So we do have a piece with a C facing inwards, but then its size relative to the other pieces is not similar to what we have here. Then looking at option 3, okay, option 3, we have this piece here. Okay, so option 3 can be one of our options. And then option 4, we also have this piece here. So option 4 can also be, figure 4 can also be one of our options. Okay, and then we'll move on to this piece here. You can see that we have a circle inside and then another half circle, semicircle here. Okay, so we'll be looking at figure 3 and figure 4. Okay, so we can see that in both options we do have a similar piece. it's this one in figure 3, and then in figure 4, okay, it's this one. Okay, and then we'll move on to this piece. You can see that we also have a circle and a semicircle on the outer part. Okay, and then looking at figure 3, we can see we have it here. Then looking at figure 4, okay, we also have a similar piece here. Okay, and then looking at this particular piece, okay, we can see we have a C cleft to this side. Okay, and then looking at option 3, okay, it can be this piece. Looking at option 4, can be this piece. Okay, and then looking at this last piece, okay, we have a C facing outwards. Okay, and then you can see we have it in option 3, but then in option 4, we do not have it. Since, okay, like the C is pointing inwards, the last piece. So our answer is option 3, which is C. Okay, and then moving on to question 11. Okay, so looking at this part, okay, we can see in figure 1, okay, we could say that it could be this part, but then the shapes are different. For example, looking at this line, it's more slanted than this line. And then in figure 2, we have the shape right here. Then in figure 3, we have the shape here. And in figure 4, we have the shape here. So the only figure that's eliminated is figure 1. Okay, and then looking at this piece, okay, you can see in figure 2, it's placed here. Figure 3 is placed here. Then in figure 4, it's placed here. Okay, and then moving on to this piece, you can see in figure 2, it's placed here. In figure 3, it's not here, and in figure 4, it's also not here. So that only leaves us with option 2, like figure 2, which is option B. Okay, and then for question 12, okay, you can see we have these 4 pieces here. Okay, so okay, with any of the triangles, okay, in option 1, we can see that, okay, we can have a triangle here, another one here, and another one here. But then to have this complete picture using these triangles, we'll need 5 triangles, 5 pieces. So option 1 is out. Figure 1 is out. Okay, and then looking at figure 2, okay, we can see that we can have a triangle here, and then perhaps another one here, and then another one here, and then another one here. So we'll also need 5 pieces to complete this triangle. Then to coming to this one, okay, we can see that we can have a triangle here, and then make another triangle here, and then another one here, and then another one here. This one requires 4 pieces, which is what we have. So our answer will be option C. Okay, then just to go through like figure 4 to see why it's not our answer. Okay, we can see that for figure 4, we'll need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 pieces to complete to have this figure. So our answer is option 3. Okay, and then this will be our last question. Okay, then okay, we have 4 pieces. Okay, and then looking at this piece, the top first, okay, we can see that we have it in figure 1, figure 2, figure 3, but we don't have it in figure 4, so figure 4 is eliminated. And then moving on to this piece, you can see we have it in figure 1. Okay, we don't have it in figure 2, we have it in figure 3, so figure 2 is eliminated. Okay, and then moving on to this piece, you can see that, okay, we do not have it. Okay, actually we do. We have it in figure 1, which is this piece. And then we have it in figure 3, which is this piece. Okay. And then moving on to the last piece, which is this one. You can see that we do not have it in figure 1, so figure 1 is eliminated, so we are left with figure 3, which is option C. So our answer will be C. Then